Hey there yogis, I'm Nicole. Welcome back to My Yoga Time. Thank you for joining me today. I have another yoga snack for you. This particular class is tailored more to the intermediate yogi or beginner transitioning into intermediate. There'll be a few options for you if you're feeling a little playful around arm balances and some more challenging balance poses. When you're ready, let's begin in our puppy pose, Anahatasana, which translates to melting heart. So we'll keep those hips up nice and high. You've got two choices. Either have the arms out in front, hands as wide as the mat, and make sure the arms are straight, or elbows a little closer, hands into prayer above the head, forehead resting on the mat. And just take a moment here to arrive in your practice, in your body. Begin to feel the in-breath press those lines of tension in the upper body. Begin to witness the four parts of your breath: the inhalation and pause, exhalation and pause. Lifting up with your next exhalation, let's slide forward into our Sphinx pose. So staying up on those forearms, we're only here for a brief moment. You might like to gently draw those elbows back towards your feet. Lift the chin a little. And if you're feeling like you need a neck stretch here, you can drop one ear to the shoulder. And then changing sides. Well done, yogis. From here, we're going to move into a side forearm plank. So if you're able to, coming onto the right side to begin with. Now, option one, you might place your left foot on the floor. Let's lift up those hips and raise the left arm up. Here, I want you to feel as though you're trying to drag your elbow towards the foot. That will help switch on those oblique muscles. So here is option one. Option two, you can stack left foot on top of the right. And if you'd like to go one step further, as you exhale, imagine you're threading your left arm underneath the right armpit, and then inhale, coming back up. So it's as though you're threading the needle. Well done. Lifting the heart as though you're trying to rotate the heart up towards the ceiling. Inhale. And exhale, lower those hips down. Pushing up into a side Sphinx now. Feel free to straighten those arms and looking over your left shoulder. And then from here, we'll transition into a laying chest opener. So you can bend both knees. Your right arm's going to come behind you. Keep the arm bent. If you can, at a right angle, elbow in line with the shoulder. Bring your right ear down to the mat. Left hand can take Chin Mudra and place the back of the palm on the low back. Now, if this is too intense for you, you can lighten the pose by taking the right hand a little bit higher, or even roll onto your belly instead, and take your forehead to the back of the left palm. Well done, yogis. Let's push up. Return to your Sphinx pose. And then we'll practice that same sequence on the other side. So rolling onto that left hip now. Option 1, right foot can stay on the floor, lifting up those hips, reaching right fingertips up to the ceiling. Option 2, stacking the legs. Option 3, threading the needle. Pausing there. And lower the hips down, finding your side sphinx. And moving into your variation of your laying chest opener. Again, feel free to roll into the navel if you need to lighten the pose. Let's keep the left arm bent. The option to take your right hand to your low back. And let's release. Bring that right palm down to the floor. Pressing yourself up now, coming into tabletop. We'll take the hands under the shoulders, knees underneath those hips, toes tucking under. Turn eyes of the elbows forward to face the front and inhale into your back bend. Exhale into round the spine. Keep moving with your breath. And now as you exhale and round the spine, we'll lift those hips up into your downward facing dog. Hold there as you inhale. And then exhale, knees can return to the mat. Inhale into your back bend. And next downward facing dog, we'll hold it there. Inhale the right leg up. Option to stay there, or you can open up the hip, bend the knee, look under your armpit. Make sure you're flexing that right foot. Pressing into the pads of all the fingers. Inhale. As you exhale, straighten the legs, square the hips and step through. Taking a low lunge, left knee to the mat. Let's bring the arms up. So here, in order to protect the back, be careful you don't just dump into the lunge. Many of us can come back a little bit. Try and pull the left knee forward, drag the right heel back and tailbone down. So option 1 will lift those fingertips up to the ceiling. Option 2, right hand can come down looking for your left thigh. Left arm can lift up and lean over. Don't overstrain, just a little side bend here. Inhale. And as you exhale, lower both hands down, half pyramid pose. Take the hips back. We'll point the right toes up towards the ceiling. Keep the heart lifted. Of course, you can always use your blocks here if you need to. Feel as though you're dragging that right heel back. Option 1 is here. Option 2, come all the way back onto that left heel. And hands can come behind you. Allow the back to round. And look forward. Let's walk those hands forward now. Move the right foot over to the right a little. We're going to rock back and then step forward into your yogi squat. So heels in, toes out, and dropping those hips. Now, if this is not an option for you with your hips and knees, you can always step up and take your ragdoll pose instead. Yogis in their squat, we're finding a little bit of resistance between inner knees and elbows. Broadening those collarbones. Well done. Hands down, bottom up. Step back into your downward facing dog. Inhale. Exhale, knees to the mat. Find your back bend. Hold your downward facing dog. Left leg up. Option to open the hip and bend the knee. We'll straighten the legs, square the hips, step through, find your low lunge, right knee to the mat. Inhale the arms up. Remember to draw that right knee forward, try and drag the left heel back. Option to take that little side bend, lift up out of the right side waist. And let's return to center. Half pyramid pose, take the hips back, left toes point to the ceiling. Engaging this quad here, draw the kneecap up. Either staying here or taking a seat. Come back a little further. Fingertips can come to the floor behind you. And let's release, walk those hands forward. This time we'll rock back and then step up to the top of the mat. Inhale halfway. Exhale to fold. And let's reverse swan dive to come up. As you do so, try and press the feet away from one another, feeling nice and strong in your foundation. Exhale, hands to the heart. And let's inhale, arms up. Swan dive as you exhale, little bend in the knees. Half lift. Forward fold and left leg back. Prepare for warrior one. So ground that back foot on a 45-degree angle and press into both feet as you come up. We'll bring those hands just to shoulder height. So if you're feeling unstable here, you can always take the feet wider. Most of our hips prefer to have the feet a little bit wider here. Any pain or discomfort in that back heel, knee or ankle, pick up that heel, make it a high lunge instead. So for this whole flow, we want to press the feet away from one another. Arms coming out in front. On the inhalation, little back bend. And as you exhale, round the spine, look down towards your belly button. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, hands down, shoulder height. We'll do one more flow. This time bring the hands out behind you. Pick up the back heel. Let's interlace the fingers. Press to both feet. Find a little back bend. And then we'll transition into warrior three. Tilt the body forward. A few baby steps in if you need to with that back foot. Reaching knuckles towards the heel. Try to keep the hips level. Be mindful if that left hip is lifting up a little higher than the right. Well done. Inhale to come up, hands to prayer now. Lift up this left knee. Either transition into chair pose or one-legged chair, left ankle to the right knee. So you might choose to stay here in the center, pressing palms together, guiding the shoulders down. Or you might choose to take a twist. If you're feeling stable, take your left elbow into the sole of the left foot. Gently press the right palm down onto the left. And let's come back to center. Lower left foot down. Well done, yogis. Inhale. Exhale. Half lift. Forward fold, right leg back, warrior one. Modify however you need to. Keeping those hands at shoulder height. Remember to press the feet away from one another. That's going to offer a little more stability around the lower back especially, and the hips. When you're ready, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Well done. Lower the hands down now. Pick up the back heel. Interlace the fingers behind the back. Little back bend. And the warrior three. Slightly tuck in the chin and move the back of the neck up towards the ceiling. Jalandhara Bandha. Well done. Lifting up, hands to prayer. Either chair pose or one-legged chair. Feel free to stay in the center, or if you did so on the other side, take your twist, right elbow to the sole of the right foot. And let's come back to center, coming all the way up and lower down. We'll practice a half sun salute before our next flow. Inhale and exhale. Half lift, forward fold, reverse one dive. So from here, we're going to move into our eagle pose. If this is not an option for you due to knee or hip injuries, you can just take your chair pose instead, Utkatasana. Otherwise, we're crossing left leg over the right and make sure your right leg is bending. If you're able to, wrap the foot around the calf muscle. Otherwise, you can always use a block and balance those left toes on the block instead. Thighs pressing together here as though they're trying to unravel from one another. Arms can float out to the side. As you exhale, right arm crosses over the left. Either stay there with the right arm straight or bend that right elbow and take your full bind. So the thighs and the forearms are pressing in towards one another. Let's lift up, keep the arms as they are. Step the left foot back, you're in a high lunge. Press into both feet. Come back to center, warrior two, unravel those arms. So back foot's on a very slight angle, not quite as steep as your warrior one. Let's straighten the right leg, bend the left knee, fingertips to touch at the heart center, and return to warrior two. We'll do that one more time. Straighten the right leg, bring the back foot in a little bit closer, prepare for Trikonasana, your triangle pose. Again, press the feet away from one another, reach, and then lower down. Try to rotate heart and navel up towards the ceiling. Take left arm overhead, look down if you're not already. And lower both hands down to the floor. Taking your fallen triangle now, bring your right foot back and cross it in front of the left. You can bring the outer edge of the foot to the floor, it will be off the mat, and raise your left arm up. Let's come back to plank. Shoulders above the wrist, tailbone tucking under, chaturanga down. Either take your baby cobra or your upward facing dog with your legs off the mat. Rounding out the spine before your downward facing dog. And let's step up to the top of the mat. Inhale. Exhale. Reverse swan dive. And exhale, hands to the heart. Let's practice that flow on the other side. Option 1, chair pose. Option 2, right leg over the left. If you can, wrap the foot around the calf. Arms out to the side. Left over the right. Take the bind if your shoulders permit. You might like to bend a little deeper, fold a little further forward. And let's lift up. High lunge. Leaning back if you can. And then unravel those hands, warrior 2. Bend in the right knee, straighten the left leg. Left toes point to the ceiling. And then return to warrior 2. Let's do that one more time. And straighten your left leg. Bring the back foot in just a little. Press into both feet, reach forward, and then lower down into your open twist. Think of this as an open twist more than a side bend. Right arm overhead, look down. Lower both hands down. Fallen triangle, lift up your left foot. Cross it just in front of the right. Roll onto the sole of the right foot and lift your arm up. Let's return to plank. Feel free to take child's pose if you need a rest, otherwise you can move through your flow. Elbows into the ribs, back bend of your choice. Plank, rounding out the spine before your downward dog. And from this downward facing dog, we'll move into our lizard pose. So you can inhale the right leg up, and then step that foot forward to the outside of your right hand. So a few choices here, yogis. If you need to lighten the pose, you can bring that back knee down to the mat. I want you to feel here as though you're trying to squash the mat in between your feet. So try and pull your right foot back, your left foot forward, just so you've got a bit more muscular activation around those hips. If you are staying here, gently draw the hands back and reach the heart forward. Alternatively, you might like to take a little arm balance here. You might need to move that right foot a little further to the right, left hand just a touch further to the left. We're going to step this left foot forward, catch it on the way through with your hand. Push the foot into the hand, pull the hand onto the foot. Create a little lock, a little bandha. And let's step it back. Before our downward facing dog, we're going to press the inner right knee into the arm, hover those toes off the floor, and then step it back, downward facing dog. Well done. Feel free to walk out the legs. Whenever you're ready, moving to the other side, left leg up. Step it through, lizard pose, foot to the outside of the left hand. Either staying here with those hands under the shoulders, drawing the hands back as you reach the heart forward. Option 2, maybe take the left foot, right hand a little wider, rock back to bring that right foot through, catching it along the way. And we'll step back into lizard pose from here. Preparing for downward dog, press the inner left knee into the outer arm, hover the toes, and then downward facing dog. bring those knees down to the mat, round the back, and sit back into your child's pose. And let's lift on up into tabletop. Whew, should be feeling a little bit warmer by now. I certainly am. I'm practicing in 30-degree heat with no air conditioning or fans. Let's bring those knees together now. We're going to cross the right leg behind the left leg and push your right knee into the back of the left knee. Feet will come a little bit wider than the mat. We're walking back to take a seat in our cow face pose, Gomukhasana, so you can always sit yourself up on the block if you need to. So if you find yourself in this position and there's quite a bit of space between the knees, sit yourself up on the block, or if you need to uncross the legs, just place that left leg in front of the right. So from here, we've got a little flexion through the feet and pressing the outside blades of the feet down into the mat. We're going to take those hands behind us and interlace the fingers. Take your hands over to the right side, elbow pointing out to the right, and turn your head to the right. Another little neck stretch here if you drop the ear towards the shoulder, so the chin will lift diagonally. Now, of course, you could always stay here if you found your sweet spot. If you're going to progress a little further, use your right hand to lift your left hand a little bit higher in between the shoulder blades if you can. Then lift the right arm up and you're going to clasp those fingers. You can always use a strap here or just take your left hand to the right elbow if you need to. Keep pressing down through the outer edges of the feet. Option 1 to stay upright, option 2 fold forward. And let's lift on up. Release those hands or take a twist now. Option 1, back of the right hand to the outer knee, left hand behind you. Option 2, take a hold of your left foot with your right hand. Begin to straighten that leg and float left arm up off the floor. And let's return to center. Unravel those legs or lift up the feet, coming into your boat pose, Navasana. Here is option 1, a little stronger if you like. Pistol grip those big toes and straighten the legs. If you can, imagine you're trying to pull the arms above the head. A little bend in the elbows if you've got that range of motion. And let's release. Well done. Come back into tabletop. And changing sides now, taking left leg behind the right, pressing into the knees, walking the hands back, taking your seat. If you need to modify a little more on one side to the other, depending on knees and hips, do so. When you're ready, we'll take the hands behind you, over to the left, looking over the shoulder and dropping the ear. Either staying here or bringing the head back to center. Using your left hand to lift your right arm up. If you can, take the hand in between the shoulder blades. Left arm lifts and collecting those fingers. Feel free to stay upright or hinge forward. And let's release the pose, moving into your twist. Left hand to the outer right knee, or take a hold of the foot. And let's return to center. Feel free to take your boat pose once again, lifting up both feet, or pistol gripping the big toes. And let's release. Moving down now, coming into the more restorative phase of our practice. Coming down onto your back and bringing those feet together, letting the knees fall out wide. Palms to face the ceiling. You might like to take your mudra once again. From here, we're going to press into both feet and down into the mat, and then lift your hips up. So it's butterfly legs in bridge pose. And let's lower down, bring those knees together. Hands can come to the knees now. Keep the arms straight. Press the hands into the knees, pull the knees back into the hands. And release, let those shins flop. Bend the elbows as you exhale. Straighten the arms as you inhale. And we'll keep a hold of the left knee now. You can straighten the right leg. Just shift the hips over to the left just a little. Moving into a twist. Take the left knee over to the right. And deepening the breath into the lower belly, the lower back. Option 1 is as you are. Option 2, you can introduce a little quad stretch, only if it feels good for your back. You'll bend your right knee and take a hold of the foot with your left hand. On your next exhalation, release the foot and rolling onto your back. Let's change sides, yogis. Reaching for your right knee now. Coming over into your twist. Either staying here or moving your left leg back, reaching for the foot. And let's release that foot now. Return to your back. Coming into Shavasana for a well-earned rest. Taking up as much space on the mat as is comfortable. Feel free to take Chin Mudra. And let the forehead soften. The tongue and jaw relax. And when you're ready, begin to inhale a little deeper. Swallow if the mouth is dry. Feel free to wiggle the toes and fingers. Following any urges to move or stretch. And rolling to your preferred side whenever you're ready. And bring yourself up whenever you're ready to return to your day. Thanks for practicing with me today, yogis. I hope that you enjoyed that class and you found it a little playful. If you haven't done so already, please do subscribe to the channel. It's the best way to support free yoga on YouTube. And not just my channel, but any teacher that you watch on a regular basis. Wishing you a lovely day. Namaste.